Garretts Back with Rich Carlton Consulting. I've been with the company now 15 plus years. We are currently in Orlando, Florida at the Claris Developer Conference. So broadcast brought to you today by fmtraining.tv. If you are watching but you're not a subscriber on YouTube or on Twitch, go ahead and follow us on those platforms so you can get the notifications ahead of time. I'd like to also introduce the king of lean design, the legendary Nick Hunter.
Thank you for that. Yes, everybody knows me now, so I don't want to spend time there. It's more interesting to talk about FileMaker, and so what we were talking about, the flagship of the company is FileMaker. So what happened there is simple. They had to tackle so many difficulties the last 4 or 5 years, and the major difficulty they have to tackle is the modernizing of the Windows version.
Yes.
And you guys have seen a significant improvement into the Windows version of FileMaker. That was the 17 version. Okay, so that means imagine that almost a third of the code has been rewritten. Okay, so it was kind of a significant amount of effort that took pretty much 75%, 80% of the resource of the company, just for that, just to re-engineer the Windows platform. So just to tell you a little bit about this, the Windows version of FileMaker was still using Windows 3.0 technology. Okay, so and then they finally embraced kind of a new .NET / whatever Microsoft stuff, right? So they modernized the Windows version of FileMaker. So that was a big deal. Then at the same time,
and it was just good for me to hear. You mentioned before there's a panel of 5 or 6 of VPs and product managers on stage, and without fail, every single one of them said the same thing. Yeah. It's not going anywhere. Yeah. These are our flagship products. Even though they're not named Claris this, Claris that, these are still our flagship products. Yeah. Development is still going into them, and that was just reassuring.
Yeah, it's reassuring. And then something else that we know for a long period of time, but it's good to restate that for the audience, is that they are modernizing everything under the hood. So that's something we heard this morning a lot. A lot of thing is under the hood. Nobody see anything, but it's changed a lot, and they are preparing the foundation for the future.
And that's kind of the second part of what I heard was a lot of the Claris Connect and the next gen stuff that they showed us the last 2 days was their way of preparing the platform for the future. And I heard 2 things. That one, because web development is so much faster than developing in the languages for Mac and Windows, they can develop this stuff very rapidly to test it, throw it out at us in beta version, and then from there they can kind of backtrack it, and the products that succeed build those into the Mac and Windows platform. So
that would be interesting to see what's going on there. The desktop version of FileMaker is not going anywhere, so that is very important. What they call the web authoring, the FileMaker web authoring, that's what they call FileMaker in the web.
Right, the editing, web editing.
So it's web. They call that FileMaker web editor authoring. Pretty much they are going to implement things there and then bring that to the platform. Okay, so that will be interesting to see how things goes. FileMaker desktop, it's a grown adults, right? It's not a senior yet, but it's a grown adult, and the web authoring, FileMaker web authoring, is kind of a baby. So they are going to feed the baby with new things, right? And then they will bring that to their adults platform, right? So that pretty much. So instead of building the new thing into the FileMaker Pro, they're going to build a new thing on the web, and then they're going to bring back at the same time, simultaneously, they're going to bring the thing into the flagship. But to do that, they needed to prepare the foundation of this adult version, and which has
And that's been a lot of what they've been doing under the hood in FileMaker Pro and FileMaker Server as well. They mentioned that this morning, that they've been doing with all the page locking stuff that they came out with and stuff like that. That a lot of that was under the hood, and they're not talking about because it's not, you know, an exciting new feature, but a lot of development resources went into that.
Yes. So it was kind of interesting to hear what they have to say. And something I want to tell the audience is they brought into FileMaker a lot of new faces.
Oh yeah.
So that in the past always be something scary for everybody. They say, okay, who is this guy? What he wants? Does he want to wipe out the past and bring FileMaker in a unsecure adventure, or okay? So something that pleased me a lot this morning when we were listening is that Srini, the new product management manager that's coming from StandPlay, was talking. Is in the company for what, 10 weeks?
I don't think she's even been. I think she's been here.
No,
like
he's the guy.
Oh,
Srini,
yes.
Okay. So he's there for 10, 15 weeks in FileMaker, at FileMaker, right? And he was talking about the product like a veteran of FileMaker. We were talking, like I will be talking about the product, or Rick Kellman will be talking about, or Richard Carlton will be talking about the product with our history and our experience. So I don't know how he managed that.
I don't know.
But it was amazing to hear him talking about a product, and he was talking about the product with the weight of the history of the product. So when he doesn't have any, but that means he studied. That means he studied, he learned,
right?
He listened, right?
Yep.
He tried to understand the platform and that's why he could talk like somebody that say, this guy is there for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Because this is how a new faces will never talk about like.
I'm going to call timeout.
Yeah.
Real quick, I've been haranguing a handful of people here, and I wanted to introduce, for those of you who've not met him before, Nick Orr. He's from Goya, right? And he is a fantastic developer. He built some really great tools. We shot a short video a little bit ago. So we're asking what people are thinking about this new strategy with the FileMaker Connect, and what do you think, and what are your thoughts on all this?
I think the biggest thing is just the fundamental change in FileMaker. It's spent 20 years being a one-product company, and all of a sudden they're thinking now, we need to start doing acquisitions, we need to start growing the platform, and we need to, take on more things. I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that like FileMaker thinks of itself completely differently now, and Claris thinks of itself completely differently now, and FileMaker is just part of that. What it means for all of us as FileMaker developers, I'm not sure. I'm sure that what it means for the customer base is lots more in the future. Someone was always going to do what StandPlay and now Claris Connect does. So I'm glad that Claris has done it, and that as developers we'll be sort of front row for that. But yeah, it hasn't quite settled in, I don't think, as to what it means for us.
Yeah, it's a lot of there's a lot of people wondering what the strategy is going to be going forward. I talked to Todd Geis yesterday, and he's same thing you are. We're trying to figure our way through this, and it's a lot to absorb in one DevCon, right? Nick is one of the cornerstone people in the FileMaker community. We're very happy to have him here. He makes great tools. So if you're interested in a diagnostic tool for the FileMaker platform to help you look at your FileMaker file, take 2 minutes and tell us about your product.
So Base Elements, like Rick said, a diagnostic tool for FileMaker Solutions, essentially gives you an insight into your FileMaker solution, tells you everything that you're using, every place, every field is being used, tells you the things that are broken that you need to be fixing, and tells you the things that aren't being used anymore, that you can go in and do cleanups and get rid of things that have accrued over time. So it's like your sort of left hand. Your right hand works on FileMaker, your left hand's in base elements. And as you're making changes, you look in at base elements and see what's going on, and it helps you out.
Very cool. All right,
Yeah.
well, I appreciate it. Thank
No
you
worries.
for stopping by today.
Thanks,
And,
Rick. Thanks, guys.
We're going to talk to some more people as we go.
All right, Garrett's back, and we got Nick coming back in as well. I just want to pick up a little bit where Nick and I left off. I just want to say, after day one, day two, and we kind of wrapped our heads around the confusion they threw at us with, the name change and the new product. We couldn't, like Nick was talking about before, we couldn't help but notice the new energy of the FileMaker staff, and I think it has to do with the CEO change, it has to do with the acquisition, but everyone just seems energized, and I think they seem more urgent to bring FileMaker into the modern software age, and it's really exciting.
Yes.
I mean, to see that.
Yes, it is. And I think what happened here, because after I worked there for 7 years, it was kind of a very sluggish company to move, right? And
I don't feel that.
that was part of because it was part of her philosophy or strategy from the beginning under the Dominic reign, right? So that's blown to smithereens completely. It's like in matter of weeks, the mentality and the mindset of people completely changed, flip-flop.
And I think they mentioned one thing in the fireside chat this morning, that I think that direction is coming straight from the top, from the new CEO. And they mentioned one thing this morning. They said that that change and the embrace of working on this web development first and everything is one of the main goals of that is to try to attract new talent to FileMaker.
Yes.
Because they want to be on the leading edge of where things are going.
Yes.
In order to get the youth and the new excitement into the company.
Yeah. So and that is on both sides, the developer, FileMaker developer, and also developer at the wedge. As an engineer working on the FileMaker product, because it is important to embrace the new technology and maybe embrace technology that they're not there yet, right? So Clay mentioned that Draco is a big chunk of FileMaker, right? So and Draco will remain the engine and will continue to receive major enhancement and major improvement. So, but Draco is mature, is robust. We all know it. It's part of the DNA of FileMaker. So Draco is going nowhere. FileMaker is going nowhere. That's a new ambience. But what happened here is that's a new CEO, much younger. But when I say younger, it's not younger only by the date of birth. It's younger because in his mind, is extremely active, extremely is a sportman, and he's the background of Brad Freytag is kind of he was in the database realm before. Okay, he was at Oracle, right? So he knows the business. Okay, he knows the market. So. And that makes also a difference. When Dominique came at FileMaker, he was a salesman with pretty much zero experience in database and whatsoever. So he did a good job. He kept the company up and running.
Well, and I think his leadership was good in that it some of that caution led to the foundation of, like you say, Draco, because they wanted such a secure foundation for that. And FileMaker's reaping the benefits of some of those decisions back then. But now the input of Brad into the company is going to, I feel like, lead to an explosion of sales and growth. And that kind of leads into one of these questions we have here from is there any more focus on getting more people into the FileMaker platform growth? Developers, and they mentioned that a little bit this morning. They're continuing to focus on 42U and now in the Apple Academies. I believe there's 2 or 3, Italy and as one in South America and stuff like that. So So we got Mark from Productive Computing. Probably those of you out there are familiar with some of their products. The QuickBooks plugin is the first one that comes to my mind. I've used that many times.
Right.
But why don't you just introduce yourself and then give us maybe a couple minutes of your immediate thoughts of, I mean, just the excitement that's going on this week. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot here. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark from Productive Computing. We're here at DevCon. This is our 20th year exhibiting here at DevCon, and my personal 21st year at DevCon. And obviously, a lot of news has hit the marketplace here, and it's kind of exciting. It's interesting to see that I think I have back in my server room a whole repository of old software, a lot of that called Claris. So I'll be looking at those old books, maybe putting them to the forefront, maybe even making a YouTube video out of the whole thing. We have a YouTube history, the history of FileMaker. We released a YouTube video a few weeks ago where we took it from the very beginning to current day, but we're going to have to redo that video, I think, because things have changed. But we're here, and lots of things happening with productive computing. If I could take a minute and talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got a new offering called Productive Computing University, which is where we actually teach people some of those things that are beyond just the regular traditional FileMaker training.
Okay.
Things like how to install an SSL certificate, FileMaker certification training for 17 and 18. And what's funny about that training and how it differs from RCC training is that we don't really teach people FileMaker. We teach people how to prep for the FileMaker certification exam specifically.
And I know there was a few questions in the fireside chat this morning about SSL certificates.
Right.
So that's great information to give out. So you guys actually have a training video on your. Can they find that on your website?
Yeah.
Or where can
they can find it on our website and go to training within that website, or you can go directly to productivecomputinguniversity.com and get it there.
Great.
And as you were mentioning earlier, yes, we do have QuickBooks plugins for both the desktop and the online versions. We actually have a course on API fundamentals, too. So for people who are just now wanting to learn APIs, there's a lot of developers out there that have been great developers for 20 years like myself.
Yeah.
They haven't touched or even know anything about an API.
Oh, wow.
So one of the sessions I did here for DevCon is the beginning fundamentals of APIs and all of that. So,
and my thoughts on that, we have the new Claris Connect coming out, which will make APIs a whole lot simpler. But if you haven't dealt with APIs at all, learning some of the fundamentals of what is OAuth authentication and some of the basics. Even if you're not going to do something, just having those basics will help you recognize, once we get to Claris Connect, what they're looking for. So
exactly.
I think that's something great to learn, even if you're not planning on, cracking open a Dropbox API and doing it yourself.
Yeah, which I just did 2 weeks ago.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And, there's a whole other world of things. And each API is so different from one another. But let's just say we have Claris Connect, and we can connect to Dropbox. That's great. Now, there might be some situations where Claris Connect doesn't actually fulfill every single need that you might have on a custom integration. So we have two choices at that point. We can still roll our own API, like we do today, but of course that has all its disadvantages as well as some advantages. The second thing is we could potentially customize Claris Connect in such a way which would require JavaScript knowledge, which again is another language. Could be a hurdle for a lot of people.
But they showed some of that
in the deep dive.
In the deep dive, yes. And I don't think we talked about that at all for our viewers. So that's if you want to talk about that for. Well, I mean, we really don't know much.
But we don't know much. We don't know much.
But it is possible. So that's a great point.
Yeah, it is possible. So, I mean, now you might say, okay, well, today my skills are, I need to know, for API integration, I need to know a lot of things. I need to know OAuth, security, and, signatures back and forth, token management. I need to know JSON upside down and backwards. Then I have to know the specific API directly, because every API is different. So with Claris Connect, that solves a lot of problems.
Well, and you have to have some place to park your API middleman software, which that goes away because.
Correct.
At least what they showed, if you're writing some of your code to add on and put that, they said they were going to host that for you. Basically, your code's just going to live there within Claris Connect.
Yeah,
right?
Part of the fundamentals of Claris Connect is your ability to actually create a store, a database within this environment.
Right.
Maybe a temporary swap space or a place to hold temporary information, or not even temporary information, permanent information. The other advantage of Claris Connect is it's expandable and scalable. It's durable, it's secure. But also, there'll be a licensing fee. You know, it is a product after all. So these are all the considerations as developers we have to consider which way to go. But overall, we're kind of excited. And I'm not going to lie to you, some of this might actually take away some of our revenue of productive computing. I mean, do you need a plugin to do some of this stuff if you've got Claris Connect?
Right.
But there are cases where you do. And maybe there are even cases where if someone is just doing a single integration, let's say with QuickBooks Online, they might say, that's all I ever need right now. They might actually save money by using a plugin versus the licensing for Claris Connect. But I don't want to in any way take away from this great offering, because at the end of the day, we want the platform to expand. Beyond our own selfish needs, we want the platform to expand. And we want to give opportunities for developers to do some awesome things. And I think this helps.
You know, I know you guys have been busy with your booth here, and we've been busy with broadcasting. So I don't know if any of us have really fully pictured how this is going to affect all our businesses. But in general, just the excitement we can feel coming from all the way from the top of Claris, and it, you know, with the new acquisitions and everything, it's hard to see this not growing the community and growing our customer base. So there's no way for this to be a loss. You know, for either of our for any of these people.
That's
here,
right.
So
people always have apprehension over change and things like that, and they wonder and they don't know what the future is. Well, the truth is, not everyone knows the future, and I think the future changes based on the conditions of the marketplace. The other thing too is I'd rather see a lot of progress in a direction than no progress. Something struck the last session that I had, which was an FBA session, that said if we don't introduce cutting-edge technologies at FileMaker Corporate, we have a difficult time attracting engineers. And I hadn't really realized that, but that is absolutely true. If you don't keep cutting-edge technology, who are you gonna? The talent isn't going to be that interested in working for you. So we do. I already talked a little bit about Productive Computing University. We have 18 plugins that are add-ons to FileMaker, including QuickBooks. We have a full plugin that talks to Microsoft Exchange, Office 365, Microsoft Outlook. We have plugins for the Mac. We have Address Book. We have Calendar, iCal. All of those plugins are integrated. We have a CRM. Competes a little bit with what you guys have, but you guys don't really compete because you give it away for free. But we have a core.
We got your price beat.
That's right. There you go. You get the price beat for sure. But we have a core CRM application which runs in FileMaker 18 or above. In addition to that, we have full-fledged hosting. All our hosting now is on AWS, and it's customized hosting, and we offer people the opportunity to do hosting well beyond what you can do with, let's say, FileMaker Cloud. We can do incorporation with S3 and other services provided by Amazon to take it to the next level. So great for people who need even MirrorSync. If they want to install that, we can do all that with our hosting services.
Very cool.
Something like that. Cool. So yeah, lots going on at Productive Computing. We're going full bore.
Any specials, anything coming up you'd like to mention to?
We have in the university, we have the API course, but we're also going to be taking a look at all the other different API aspects, and we'll take each one as a course. So connect to Dropbox, that'll be a course. Connect to Box.com, that'll be a course.
Great.
And we're just going to continue to expand that and grow our students. And so thanks for the opportunity.
It was great talking to you.
Yeah,
and
likewise.
Once again, all our viewers brought by fmtraining.tv, and we're going to see who else we can catch this morning.
Yeah. Keep up the good work. Talk to you later. Thanks.
Talk to you later.
So I'm Richard Carlton. This is Jesse Barnum from 360 Works.
Hello, everybody.
But what we want to do is figure out your take on DevCon in terms of this. I mean, this is kind of a big DevCon.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to digest.
18 was kind of, in my opinion, kind of a light release, right? It wasn't like a million major new features.
Yeah.
And then suddenly out of the blue, we're going to change the name. We're going to buy a company. I can't remember they've ever bought a company.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
And so, I mean, what you've been thinking about
None of those things are the things that I'm actually most blown away by. The thing that I am by far the most blown away by, which got about 1.5 to 2 minutes or so in the keynote, is web authoring of FileMaker Solutions. Like in your browser, going into layout mode, editing scripts, dragging stuff around on layouts, having it look and feel exactly like the desktop version of FileMaker. I mean, like, that's huge and revolutionary and ground-changing that, like, FileMaker has suddenly just become this totally web-based modern development environment because we can now, author in the web. And the irony is there's so much stuff going on that got almost glossed over because there was so much other cool stuff to show. I mean, they had a lot of cool stuff to show. To me, That was the moment, hands down, when they were like, oh yeah, we're running this in the web browser. I'm like, what? Yeah. So that was very, very big.
So, what other takeaways are we gonna think about having? I mean, this is your chance. I mean, the Claris Connect piece seems like a big deal.
Yeah.
You're already making. I mean, it doesn't really. We talked about this earlier. It doesn't really seem like sync's involved. So, what's your take on all this Claris Connect stuff?
It's really early to tell. I don't think anyone here really quite understands yet how Claris Connect interacts with FileMaker. Let's just say theoretically, that if there is some way at a low database schema level that FileMaker server could call some API in Claris Connect every time a record is modified, changed, or deleted, that's got pretty big implications for sync. I have no idea. I don't think anybody knows outside of some core engineers whether that's how it's going to work or not. One thing it does mean for us is that I'm envisioning a scenario where we take a lot of our plugin functions and we incorporate them into Claris Connect. So let's say you want to call our plugins, but you're on FileMaker Go. We don't currently have our plugins working on FileMaker Go. We may not have to, which I would love that. If we make it so that there's just a Claris Connect drop-in that you can call instead of trying to install our plugins with the iOS SDK. So I think there's a lot of huge potential, but I don't. Again, the details to me, I'm conjecturing. I'm waiting to really see the nuts and bolts about how this stuff really works.
Yeah, I think a big part. People ask me, "What do I think?" And I was thinking, like, man, it's a lot of vision, a lot of. I don't want to pick on them. A lot of promises, almost, right? And so I said the key word is execution. And even you talk to FileMaker Claris, right? It's execution.
Yeah.
And so if they have to execute on their plan, on their strategy, they have to deliver this stuff. To be honest,
they're coming up with some pretty aggressive deadlines.
My opinion is if they do half of what they're saying,
yeah,
we are set. It's awesome.
I couldn't tell if you were going to say set or screwed.
No, we're not screwed. No, I mean, if they were doing nothing and they were like, well, if they came to us and said 18 is the most amazing release ever and it's the most amazing thing and we're going to cheer and give each other high fives, and isn't this the best? And I'd be like, yeah, we're screwed. But no, it's a function of if they deliver just even half of the promises.
Yeah.
I'm a very happy person.
Yeah, and I mean, they're clearly, this is a huge strategic moment for them. I mean, it's the first, the fact that they named themselves, that they changed the name of the company to Claris is meaningless if their only platform is still FileMaker. Then you're like, okay, all you did was change the name of your stationery or something like that. But the fact that Claris Connect is now its own distinct new product separately from the FileMaker platform is, now you get why the name change is important. It's kind of like with us. We have people call us for support sometimes. They're like, yeah, I'm calling about your product, 360 Works. And we're like, yeah, no, we have a lot of products. Which product are you calling about? So, so I think FileMaker is realizing that naming their company the same as their product was really kind of like it was limiting them. And so now they've gotten rid of that limitation.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have Garrett ask you about your current products and what the deals are. I'm going to step out and try to find McCann, if we can find the guy.
All right, man. Thank you.
Missing in action. So, Garrett, come over here.
Nice to see you again, Jesse.
You too, Garrett. Good to be here with you.
Good. So, you guys are always staying up to date with your stuff and coming out with new stuff. What's the latest and greatest from 360 Works? And then maybe dovetail that with what kind of deals you got going on?
Yeah.
Or what's upcoming?
We've got 3 products that we're really featuring this year at DevCon. We've got MirrorSync 6, we've got Zulu 4, and we've got 360 Deploy version 2. 360 Deploy is not a new product, but it's one of our most recent products, and so we want to get a lot of buzz behind it.
And those are all the current shipping.
They're okay. 360 Deploy is shipping.
Yeah.
Zulu 4 is almost shipping. Our goal is probably end of next week.
Okay.
MirrorSync 6 is a much bigger endeavor and involves substantial rewrites to the entire script. We are demoing it here at DevCon.
Okay.
My goal is to have it ready to ship in September.
Okay, and that's the reason I asked, because I was like,
I'm glad you asked.
5 was the last one I saw, so
yeah,
6.
yeah.
Okay, so September.
So the one that I
don't
could talk.
hold him to these, but
yeah.
You heard some rough dates in there.
October, September. It's a lot of work still. It's a lot of work to do. Yeah, it's a big change. It's MirrorSync 6 is the biggest change that we've made since version 2 to 3.
Okay.
So there's a lot to do in it.
Okay.
So that's the one that I can talk the best about because I'm the author of that product.
Great.
So have you used MirrorSync before?
I've used it several times, yes.
So you'll be kind of like familiar with the differences. There's a lot of things that are new in MirrorSync 6, but the big one, the one that I think everyone will get immediately, is the idea or is the feature now that MirrorSync 6 will automatically detect all of your new fields and tables without you needing to run through the configuration and recopy and paste script steps.
Okay.
So previously, in previous versions of MirrorSync, you do a bunch of development, you add 10 new fields, 3 new tables.
Yep.
You need to remember to go take those fields and put them on your sync layout. You need to remember to create new sync layouts and add all the fields for them. You need to go in and edit the config, run through all the screens, copy those script steps, paste them in at the end. It all works great. I don't mean to badmouth our product, but it's a substantial inconvenience for the developer.
It is, and I'll confess there's several times where I've had the conversation with the customer where, okay, yeah, we could do these couple quick edits, but if you want to do this or this, that's adding new fields. I'll have to redeploy the sync again.
Yeah.
And then your users are going to have to get a new copy, and so it is a significant barrier to have that conversation. So that's awesome.
So what MirrorSync 6 is going to do now is that any new fields you add, we automatically just detect them and we add them to the sync configuration automatically. Any new tables that you add, the only thing you need to do in MirrorSync is create one blank new layout named like sync _ and the name of your table.
Wow.
That's it. There's nothing else that you need to do. The script is now hard-coded. So it's no longer something that's customized to your solution where you need to keep copying and pasting it over and over again.
Wow.
We've made it so the script is standardized. The only reason you would need to replace your MirrorSync script is if you change to a new version of MirrorSync, not if you change your solution at all.
Okay. And just follow up on that, and I don't know if you can answer this right now, but say someone's on 5 going to 6.
Yeah.
Is that a
So the question there, I guess, is backwards compatibility. And that is
just what's the upgrade process?
What is the upgrade process?
Is it crazy or
worst case scenario? MirrorSync 6 requires you to set a cutoff date. All your users on 4 or 5 need to sync by that cutoff date, and then bring it about. You would install MirrorSync 6, configure that, send a new download URL to those users, and say download the new version. Okay. It's not that bad. What I'm really, really hoping for, and this is not finished yet, and if it's not done in time, I'm just going to ship without it. Okay. I would like to add backwards compatibility as a feature, so that if you have users who are running older versions of MirrorSync on their offline devices, I'd like to make it so they can still continue to sync with the MirrorSync server while setting up a new file with the MirrorSync 6 scripts with all the benefits of MirrorSync 6. And that way your older users could take as long as they wanted to be able to do their last sync with their old file and then get the new version of the file with the new script. I'm not promising that's going to be there.
Either way, it sounds like it's a whole lot easier
there's
than
a good path either way.
The 2 to 3 or 3 to I forget which one was the most difficult.
So 4 and 5 was backwards compatible to 4. You can still run 4 clients with 5. If I can, 6 will also be backwards compatible. So 4 or 5 version clients would sync with 6. Okay. Again, I'm not promising that. It would be cleaner and easier just to make everyone switch to 6, but I'm going to try to preserve that if I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Now the developer convenience of not having to add the fields and the tables and stuff, that's nice. It saves you some work, and it's a nice convenient step. But where I feel like it's a big game-changing difference is in server-to-server syncs.
Okay.
So let's say that you want to have your production FileMaker server, and then you want an extra copy of that production server on a second server, and you want to use MirrorSync so that every minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you're syncing that data from your production server to your spoke server. You can do that right now today with MirrorSync 5.
Okay.
But whenever you make development changes to your hub server, you got to do all the steps we just talked about in order to make sure that your spoke server stays current with your main production server.
Right.
With MirrorSync 6, since we've added this ability to auto-detect everything, you don't have to do anything. You just add your tables and fields. You just make all your development changes, and then the next time that MirrorSync 6 copies the file over from the hub to the spoke, it's going to pick up all that stuff so that your spoke is always staying up to date with your hub. And we've made it so that the big feature we added in 4 was the ability to auto-update people's solutions, so that you could just go into the MirrorSync table. There's a version number calc field. You change it from like V1 to V2.
Right.
The next time your users sync, they get prompted, do you want V2?
Right.
we've now in MirrorSync 6 added that same feature for server to server, which means that when you change it from V1 to V2 on your MirrorSync table, not only do we pick up all those tables and fields, we'll also take a copy of your hub database, move it over the network to your spoke server, replace your spoke server file with the new version, and all those fields and tables are reconfigured, making it so that it's basically effortless to make sure that you've got that spoke server or multiple spoke servers that are staying current with your production file. I think this is a big deal because I've got a lot of customers that have big enough databases that they can't afford the time it takes to do the recover or the consistency check.
I got a few
when their server goes down. And so if you can't afford that, your only real good option right now is progressive backups, which is sort of an okay solution but has some problems, or just very frequent full backups, which puts a huge amount of load on your server.
For sure.
So I'm picturing that this MirrorSync approach, of being able to just run a small incremental sync every few minutes and just copy your changes to a standby server, what that means is that if something goes haywire in your main server, you just point all the traffic to that extra server, whether it's on the same local network as your server, or for serious disaster recovery, put it in a whole different region of the country or the world. Point all the traffic to that other server, and you're back up and running in 5 minutes instead of like a couple hours.
Wow.
So there's a lot more stuff than that, but that's the stuff.
As if
that's
our
the short
excitement
version.
level for the week wasn't enough.
There's a lot
you
of
throw
new
this
stuff
at
there.
me, man. Jesse Barnum, 360 Works.
Thank you guys.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Jesse.
See you guys.
And the guys just stepped up the whole way. Calm, cool, collected the quarterback. Great read, good patience. More importantly, great job up front protecting this quarterback to give you a chance. And that's all you can ask for.
Trying to rally down 10. 9:25 to go here in the fourth. Short motion by Amendola from the left. Brady takes the shotgun snap, stands in, throws it left for Amendola, reaches up and snacks a high throw and lands inside the 10, rolling to the 9. Ball slightly behind him, but then he makes the grab.